Gracias por estar con nosotros en este programa Desde la Red con Dios. El día de hoy tengo una invitada especial, Carol Tobias. Ella es la presidenta de National Right to Life. Esta organización que en los Estados Unidos es la más importante en la defensa de la vida. Por razones de su lengua materna, que es el inglés, vamos a hacer, y por tiempo, la vamos a hacer en inglés la entrevista, pero vamos a poner cintillos para que sea más fácil para ustedes, para aquellos que no hablan el inglés, poder tener una traducción de lo que vamos a conversar. Thank you, Carol, for being with us.
My pleasure.
Carol, for me it's very important to know, and for our listeners and viewers, the importance of National Right to Life. Which kind of organization is this? Tell us about it.
National Right to Life is the oldest and largest pro-life organization in the country, in the United States. We have an organization that we work with, we call them an affiliate, in each of the 50 states, and we have about 3,000 local chapters around the country.
Yeah.
They work within their communities to educate the people, to find out where candidates stand on the life issues, to work within the schools and the churches to bring in more people to the pro-life movement so that we can all work together to protect those babies and help their moms.
Tell us about the March for Life that we already had in the United States. You are the one who organizes all this march? Or
No,
you are part of those organizations?
Many of our state groups organize buses to bring people to the rally, but it is another organization that organizes and sets up the entire march and program.
How do you connect with National Right to Life? What was the process in which you, as a woman, a professional one, a housewife probably, be connected with National Right to Life?
Well, I grew up in a pro-life household. My parents were active in one of our state organizations. So I knew that they were going to meetings and working to make a difference in my home state. So when I got older, I just kind of followed in their footsteps and I started volunteering as well. And then I ended up becoming executive director of our statewide pro-life group. And through that, I met people in Washington, D.C. at National Right to Life. And when a position opened up there, I was able to move to Washington. And I worked there as the political director for 14 years. I got to help, working with our state affiliates and our volunteers to elect pro-life candidates to Congress, and then also to the White House. I guess just kind of keep working, and I'm now the president, so I've been doing that for 8 years.
How is your relationship between the National Right to Life as an organization and with the President Donald Trump and the Vice President Mike Pence?
We have worked with them and supported them. We think they're doing an absolutely wonderful job, and we're excited to be what we would consider partners in the effort to save lives.
Do you think that it has the biggest impact in the story of the United States, Trump with Mike Pence?
I think we are coming to a point, we've been fighting this battle. The Supreme Court decision was 46 years ago, but we had some states legalizing abortion before that. So we've been fighting this battle for about 50 years. And we're getting to the point where we think we will see enough changes in our court system with the president appointing good men and women who know that our Constitution does not accept the killing of unborn children as a constitutional right. So we're getting to that point where we think we might have enough judges, maybe on the Supreme Court or on some lower courts, that we will start to see some reasonable, common sense decision-making allowing the states to protect babies.
How does this decision of Roe versus Wade affect all the decisions of the United States to accept abortion, not only federal, also local? How did it
The Supreme Court in 1973 had two decisions. Roe v. Wade is one everyone talks about because that's the one where they said abortion is legal to protect the mother's life or health. But it was in another decision that same day that defined health to mean physical, psychological, social, familial, even the woman's age, that would all fit under the health definition. So putting the two together, our country for 46 years has had a national law that says abortion can be performed for all 9 months of pregnancy, pretty much for any reason.
Yes.
Now, the Supreme Court came down in later years with other decisions, so we could start to put in place in some states, parents had to be notified if their daughter was, a minor daughter, was pregnant and considering or seeking an abortion. In some of the states, the abortionists have to give women specific information about complications that could arise from the abortion, or to talk about alternatives that are available.
Yeah.
We've got some 16 states now that say you cannot perform an abortion after 20 weeks when the unborn child can feel pain. So we have been able to put some of those in place, but we still do have too many states that really have no limits on abortion throughout pregnancy.
It could be till 9 months, as it was already accepted and approved in New York, isn't it?
Yes, New York does now allow abortion for all 9 months. Before they had 24 weeks. So they kept the 24-week limit in law in place, but then they changed what happens afterwards so that if the abortionist determines that the abortion is needed to protect the woman's health, she can get the abortion, but again, health is so broadly defined that pretty much any reason she wants. And they also removed it from the criminal code and put it under the health code. So last week, there was a woman who was killed, a pregnant woman, was killed by her boyfriend. And he was immediately charged with killing her and her unborn child.
Oh.
They called it a second-degree abortion. That same day, they had to change the charge against the man because they could no longer, under New York law, say that he had killed an unborn child.
So he's released?
He will stand charges for killing the mother,
okay,
but not the baby.
But not the baby. So because of the laws of New York, the present laws of New York, is there any legal appeal constitutionally you can take against the state who goes further than 20 months till birth? Is there any other way to go against that decisions, the local decisions being unconstitutional or against the Constitution?
No, not really. We have a federal constitution that does not specifically say the unborn child is a human being and should be protected. But the states can declare their own, in their own constitutions or in their own law, what they are going to do with abortion. So at this point, I don't know if there's anything we can do in New York except defeat the senators and representatives who voted for this bill and try to elect new pro-life leaders who will change the law. Or
say, I will not vote for you if you continue approving laws against life. So that's something that happens here in Mexico. How is your work in other countries? Do you have work in other countries?
We have a representative that works with International Right to Life, and most of that work is done through the United Nations.
Yeah.
And to some extent, the Organization for American States. We have a non-governmental organization status. It's called an NGO at the UN, so we are able to participate in some of their meetings and conferences. And it's going to those meetings that we know that the UN is really pushing hard to force countries to change their laws on abortion, and that's what Mexico needs to be aware of.
Yes, that's something that I was going to ask you, and I want to ask you, what is the way that the United Nations handle this? Openly, they are pro-choice? They are.
Very much so. The United Nations, they do not have an official document or position that says abortion is an international human right and all countries have to follow it.
Yeah.
But they are working every chance, whether it's leaders in the United Nations, working with leaders from other countries, working with organizations like International Planned Parenthood or Amnesty International. There is a strong push to make abortion an international human right, which would supposedly affect the laws in every country. And we have been able to stop that for many years.
Yes.
But the push keeps coming.
The position of the President Donald Trump, there in the United Nations, they have people in charge of that are pro-life, as far as I know?
Yes, yes. Each country can send a delegation to a conference or to some meeting, and the people representing the United States under this president are strongly pro-life and strongly object whenever someone tries to bring up abortion or reproductive rights as an international right.
For example, in the case of Russia, Russia is, as far as it's coming, is more pro-life than pro-abortion. That would be important in United Nations, having the vote of Russia and the vote of the United States, aren't it? Or isn't it?
Oh,
yes.
Well, I think each state, of course. is going to have one vote.
Yeah.
So it's not that the United States is more important than another country, or that Russia is more important than another country, but we hope that we can work with and convince those other many other countries
yes.
to protect their children and to object to any effort by the UN to push abortion.
What would be your advice for all the countries, for Mexico also, to work pro-life and change the present policies pro-choice, to change this culture of death? What would be your advice to all of us, all the viewers?
For working in Mexico or with the United Nations?
Yes, in Mexico and throughout the world. What could we do to help to pro-life way of being for young people, for mass media? What do you suggest to us to do?
Speak up. You can have a lot of people that are pro-life. They want to protect the babies. They don't like the idea of a baby being killed because someone doesn't want that baby. But if they aren't saying anything, if they aren't doing anything, nobody knows and they're not having any impact. So I would encourage your listeners to speak to their senators and representatives to say, we don't want to, allow abortion in Mexico. And when you go to some meeting on an international stage, like the Organization of American States or the UN, we expect you to represent Mexico values, pro-life values to those institutions.
Have you had an impact in your judgment, in your criteria, about having the abortion as you have it in states related with violence? Do you see any relationship with that in the United States? Having the policies pro-abortion in the whole United States, we are working on that as your organizations are doing. But what I'm saying is, do you see any relationship between violence in the whole nation, United States, and pro-abortion policies? Do you see any relationship?
I don't have studies, research necessarily at the tip of my tongue to back it up, but I do know that when you start to say unborn children aren't human beings, they don't really count, then it's easier once the child is born to maybe get into child abuse. Because if you don't protect them or think they are sacred, special before birth, then they aren't after birth either. We do know that many pregnant women have been assaulted because the father of the child doesn't want them to have the baby.
Yes.
So the pregnant mothers are sometimes in danger. So I think there certainly is violence, and I think in many ways much of it can be attributed to determining which human lives have value and which ones don't.
Yes, of course. Is there any differences between the abortions made to white people to the black one? Do you have the different kind of statistics at this respect?
Abortion organizations in our country seem to target minorities.
Yes.
So the percent of black women getting abortions is much higher than their overall percentage in the country.
Yeah.
Hispanics are not quite as much, but it's especially in the black community that those babies are targeted by the abortion industry. So if black Americans make up about 20% of the population, they make up about 40% of the abortions.
How does the government in the United States control the private institutions that make abortion, such as Planned Parenthood or private clinics that are not subject to the public government, that are private? How do they control that?
Some of the states have been able to put into effect regulations that would require the abortion facilities to meet certain standards.
Yes.
But I find it appalling that the abortion industry, the abortionists, the Planned Parenthood type of organizations, will go to court to challenge those laws. They don't want to require abortion facilities to meet, basic safety and health standards. Yes. They don't think that women should have to be given certain information before going through with the procedure.
Yes.
If we have any medical operation in the United States, the doctor has to tell you possible complications,
yes,
what alternatives are available.
Yes.
In many states, they don't have to do that with abortion. They're doing so many things that I think are not in any way helpful to the women, to the mothers.
So they don't have any possibilities of being aware of what they are doing, really, because they don't see all the information that they need, for example, in the ultrasound in their bodies, so they can see the babies, or you don't have that?
Some of our states do require the abortionist to perform an abortion and then give the woman the option to look at the ultrasound if she wants to.
Yeah.
But again, the abortion side will fight even that because they are afraid that if she sees that ultrasound of her baby, she's not going to go through with the abortion.
Yes, for sure.
And they want to rush her through the procedure as fast as possible, and they think it's going to help her. And too often, the women afterwards are saying, if only I had known that they wouldn't have killed their baby.
If a woman that is pregnant go to a public hospital, they have to practice the abortion to her?
In some states.
Yes, so it's free. It's for free.
In some states.
Yes.
Yes, they will pay for the abortion.
And in private clinics, they have a cost on that, in private clinics?
In most of them. But again, we have some states where either the state will pay if it's a woman who is like on a Medicaid program getting some government help.
Yeah.
The state will pay for the abortion. And they also require health insurance companies to pay for the abortion. So it really varies. We've got 50 states and kind of 50 different laws.
Yes. So the Obamacare is still updated now, or is out of the?
It's pretty much out. What he had as a tool to force people to get into it was that if you did not have health insurance, then there was a huge penalty at the end of the year. Our Congress, under this president, got rid of the penalty. So now it's up to people to decide, what health care they want, if they want it. So Obamacare is still kind of in effect, but it doesn't have the strength or the teeth that it had before.
And what is your perspective in Latin America regarding the abortion? Do you think that we are going to go for the policies against life? What is your expectation about Latin America in general terms?
Latin America is pro-life. Their family culture, their whole society tends to place a value on children.
Yeah.
You know, that is the future. You want children, you want families. The problem is that we have the United Nations, and especially the Organization of American States, which is the Americas, both North and South, pushing these countries to legalize abortion and offering a lot of money to get them to do it. There is a lot of pressure put on the poor countries, especially, to change their laws. And we just really need them to stand firm and to say, we don't care what you do. We're not going to kill our children. That's our future.
Okay, so why, sometimes for me it's difficult to think why these United Nations or the Organization of all the States of America, all organizations all around the world are pushing for abortion. Sometimes I think it's ignorance, or is they want to kill people that they consider that poor people or ignorant or not beautiful people, okay, with no chances to be better people. What is for you the real cause, or one of the causes that makes these full organizations, full governments, politicians be interested in abortion? I know there is a lot of money involved on that. We know that perfectly, okay? So it's a big industry. But what else? I said, well, why they want to kill the people? If people is the life of the nation, is the future of a nation. What do you see there?
I think overall it's motivated by evil.
Yes.
You know, killing children is not natural. Killing your own unborn child is not, I don't want to say it's not normal, but it goes against any maternal instinct.
Yes, of course.
You know, when we see someone who is defenseless, innocent, helpless, whether it's an unborn child or a little puppy or a kitten,
yes,
we want to help protect that life. And there is something in this world, I think it's evil, that is telling people that it's okay to kill. You'll be better off if you don't have that, you know, that life inconveniencing you. So we need to stand up, we need to be firm, and we need to be praying.
Yes, there's a lot to do. What do you think about, because I think there's a jump between not penalizing abortion than to release everything. There's a big step, okay, a big jump, because not putting in jail a woman that has abortion for several circumstances is very different than to authorize abortion till the end of the pregnancy. It's very different. So what are your suggestions in case of women that have had an abortion, and for many reasons, we are not going to judge that? How do you suggest to the authorities to help that girls and that women to continue their lives, but with the conviction that this is incorrect? This is one question. And the other is, does the state make something to those girls that have abortion? They have any help for her, or they don't say anything else and they release those girls with their pain and sorrow of having an abortion?
Many women do have problems after the abortion. It might be physical, but it could also be psychological, emotional, because they are dealing with the fact that they killed their unborn child.
Yeah.
We know that many women get into drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Because they killed one baby, they might try to get pregnant right away to replace that child. There are a lot of different feelings and just ideas and thoughts that the woman has to deal with. And that doesn't happen, of course, to every one of them. But largely because of that, and because there are so many women in the pro-life movement in the U.S. who have had abortions, and they're speaking up now saying, don't make the same mistake that I did.
Yeah.
We actually consider the women a victim as well as the baby.
Yes.
She is still alive, the baby is not, but she is wounded.
Yes.
So our goal is to stop the abortionists, whether they are put in jail for doing something wrong or receive a heavy penalty,
Yes,
a
or a
fine,
work or a social work or whatever.
Something. We want the abortionists to just stop killing babies. So our goal isn't to just start putting people in jail. We want to protect life, the baby and the mother, and we'd like to just get the abortionist off doing something else.
And on prevention, what National Right to Life does to prevent all these situations? Do you have preventive works or preventive education for women? How do you feel?
National Right to Life doesn't do that as much. We work on education, changing hearts and minds.
Yes.
And then we elect pro-life candidates who will pass pro-life laws or stop anti-life laws. But we do have 3,000 to 4,000 pregnancy centers in the country that are operated mostly by volunteers. There might be some staff, a lot of donations from good-hearted people that want to help, so that a woman who is facing a problem pregnancy or she's not sure what she's going to do to get through this circumstance will have support. She can have a place to stay if she needs it. They will help her find a place to live. These centers will put her in touch with doctors and nurses that will help get her the prenatal care that she needs so that both she and her baby are healthy. Maybe it's providing maternity clothes, baby clothes. Maybe it's a class to help her learn how to take care of a newborn baby. I know some of our centers actually have outreach to the fathers.
Yeah.
It might be helping a woman with some educational classes or writing a resume so she can get a job. The options that are available depend on the local community and the talent and the resources that they have to help her. So we always just tell, if a pregnant woman is considering an abortion, there's all kind of help available just from good-hearted people that want to help her.
Carol, many pro-abortion people says that we defend the children before birth for not having the abortion. But after that, after the women have their children, we don't help them anymore. What do you say about that?
I would say that's wrong.
Absolutely, isn't it?
That's the basic answer.
Yes.
At least in our country, there are many government programs that will help with food and housing, and many churches are available to help on a private basis. Our country is very generous. We've got places
it's the most important country that
food to provide.
All the donations of the world is the most generous country in the world. It's something that is in the statistics. Yes.
I think it's amazing. So I just don't buy the argument that we don't care about anybody after they're born.
Yes, it's a lie.
Yes,
it's a lie. Do you want to say something before we end, Carol? Say something to the people.
It's been absolutely amazing getting to meet people here in Mexico, and I am thrilled with what I am seeing, the determination, the perseverance, the love for life.
Yeah.
I am very confident that Mexico is going to stand firm for life and protect the sanctity of life.
And the sanctuary of a womb, that is where life begins. And we love our children, we love our nation, and we don't want more genocide in Mexico. We don't want babies to die. Mm-hmm. We love our citizens, as in any part of the world. You have the same feeling. So thank you, Carol, for being with us. Thank you for your work in National Right to Life. You are, and you will always be welcome to Mexico with your neighbors. We love United States so much. We have had many help from United States in many senses. And we thank President Trump and Vice President Mike Pence for being the warriors of life. I'm so grateful with them when I hear their voices saving lives, defending lives. I feel very safe in my country, and I feel safe for the world. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.